To whom it may concern, we're going to make some potting soil today. I just wanted to use some of the local ingredients we have around here. So, along with the bone meal I purchased, the blood meal I purchased, the Epsom salt I purchased, and some vermiculite, we're using my homemade, mostly leaf compost, but there's also a little bit of old vegetable garden material in there, and peat that I sourced from our cattail marsh next to our pond, um, some mosquito frass that we're going to be using for some bug stress to, induce, you know, reactions in the plant to get better flavors and stuff. Um, and then if you're using mosquito frass, you can use that inside to combat, uh, what are they called? Shoot, I'll think of it. I'll repeat it later. Fungus gnats, that's what it is. They compete, or they combat fungus gnats in your inside plants. Um, so we've got the peat, the leaf and vegetable compost that has some biochar in it, and it also has potash in it. So we're getting our potassium for this mix from that, mostly, but I am going to add a little bit to, fortify that for one, and then for two, ingrain it in everybody's memories that they need to put some of this in there too. That's where you're going to get your potassium. We're getting plenty of nitrogen, and plenty of phosphorus. Uh, Magnesium we'll have plenty of. We're getting calcium from our worm castings. Um, we're going to be feeding, or we're going to get some minerals too from my homemade um, mineral powder, I guess we call it. And we're going to be, this is a basic, kind of like long lasting, readily, slowly, minimally maybe readily available to the plants. But we will be feeding the plants with compost teas and fermented plant juices this year, so they're going to get their immediate daily need of things from our weekly compost tea drenches and, every 3 or 4 day compost tea foliar sprays. So if you haven't got them yet, get a pump sprayer, aquarium air pump, some aquarium air line, some rock or some air rocks, air stones, some splitters for those air lines, something to brew it in, like a 5 gallon pail or so. Those are some of the things. There's a video on there. Watch the video for how we're going to make our compost teas, get that all together. You'll also be using some of our other materials like blood meal, bone meal, fish sauce, I guess. I don't know what it's called. Fish juice. Anyways, I also make a biochar that is also fortified with worm castings and deer droppings, um, some mulch, and let's see, and there's some other things too, like bone meal and blood meal and whatever. Some mosquito frass. That's been cooking. My biochar's been cooking for a month or two after it'd been finished, or after it'd been put together. Anyways, we're gonna get started. pretty easy method. I'm going to take my peat that I dried out, I dug it up, dried it out, pulled most of the stem material out. This is going to be 1-to-1 these two items here. The peat and the vermiculite. And then half of the two of those together, the leaf mulch. This is just a small batch that I'm going to be using for one larger pot. Basically, my pumpkin plot. This is going to be a mound about a flower pot size. And then for our seed sprouts. All right. So next will be, this is my clay dust concoction. The bigger ones I can smash up the smaller ones, but I also can throw some in for long term. But this stuff is long term release anyway, so we're gonna use like 4 pinchfuls of the dust. And then there's some smaller chunks. I'm going to throw some smaller chunks in there. Because eventually these are going to go into our mounds. Okay, then. Big bag of worm castings. That's where we're getting our microbes from that are going to digest the bone meal, the blood meal, any of the stuff that may not be readily available and everything. So here's our wood ash, potash. This is where we're going to get our potassium. In small amounts, you're safe using it in pots, but in larger amounts, you'd only want to use that in the ground. We're going to have a lot of active microbes in here, so I'm not worrying about burning too much. But you only want to use fresh ones. Don't use any of them that have been washed through with like rain or anything. You're going to wash the potassium right out of it. I've got a barrel stove right there that I make my biochar in it, and one of the side effects from the biochar is you get a lot of ash. So this is about I don't know, a quarter of a cup, but not smashed, not packed on or nothing. And then this is my biochar. You can use up to about 10%, 10 to 15% of your biochar. This is the fine powdered stuff. It's already activated. If you're not familiar with biochar, don't go just taking your charcoal out of your fire and throwing it into your potting soil, because it will suck all the nutrients right out of your potting soil and your plants will suffer. This has been activated with all different kinds of good stuff, and also has eggshells in it also, so more calcium. We're going to balance out the calcium with our magnesium by using salt, Epsom salt. One of the things that go along with the magnesium is the sulfur content in here. So we're getting our sulfur that these plants love. Most plants love. So we're going to take probably 2 tablespoons in this mix. That's about 2 tablespoons. Now, I don't know, you can find different kinds of frass anywhere, and you can also buy like, what do they call it? Cretin or chitin. Some people call it cretin, some people call it chitin or something like that. Basically, insect bodies and crustacean bodies and stuff like that. Um, this is ground up mosquitoes and some of them white uh, moths that you see flying around during the day. In California, they have a moth problem that lays eggs on their plants, and they eat them and they start to rot. So grass seems to help with that, and there's seems to help against insect invasions. And if you can introduce an insect's body to the area around your plant and on your plant, they will think there's a insect infection or invasion from infestation, I guess, from that insect. They'll kind of dial in on those and insects in general, um, and then develop different types of resistance against them uh, before they actually come in and infest your area. So with this little mix, I'm probably going to use 2 tablespoons of this also. And these were just collected in an electric bug zapper that had a collection can in it, and then ground up in a little, one of the little tornado type grinders, handheld ones. All right, now comes for the smelly stuff. And if you're in bear country, you might not want to use blood meal, too much of that, or the fish emulsion or whatever. But we only have one bear that comes around here one time a year. He messes with my beehives and then he leaves after about a week. So he's not that big of a problem. He wasn't that big of a bear yet. So the stinky blood meal, we're going to go with about a quarter cup. We're just looking for some slow long-term release. That'll be out of there, in the next, it'll be completely out of there in the next month and a half. But it'll mostly be broken down by our heavy microbe volume, probably quite fast. Same thing with the bone meal. It may take a little longer. These seem to be a little bigger chunks. Probably about the size of what my calcium is. We're going to do the same thing, about a quarter of a cup. Plants love calcium. Alright. Now, because I haven't done this one yet, I want to make sure my aeration is right, so I'm going to mix it up and I may add some more perlite. So, I don't know if you're real familiar with that, any of those high-dollar potting soils, but that ain't so tough. We're going to find out how it grows, too, and you guys are going to watch it. I mean, if this is damp, that would stick right together. It almost does right now. Look at that, yep. But then, bam. Tell me what you think. Like and subscribe. Try it yourself. Hell, if you're local and you want to come out and dig up your own peat, I'll let you dig it up, but you got to dig up a bucket for me, too. Look at there. There's a little baby crawler in there. So he's making his own. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Is it an earthworm? That's an earthworm. Red wiggler. So we got some of those in there. Wah, 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 wah. Well, I hope you didn't waste, I hope you don't think you wasted 15 minutes. Now for the important part. For 45 years or older, get a colonoscopy. Have a great day. Wah, 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 wah.